needed to throw that away because that was making me ill. I'm very sensitive to these things. And so it was really hard to have to try and read it while working on this piece because my eyes were watering and my throat was getting itchy and tingly and my nose would not stop running, i.e. it's the way I react to mold. And so if you can't already tell, this is going to be a year-end review of my experience with Crochet Society. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Hello, my name is Sig. This is Essential Crochet, and you, of course, are always welcomed here. Don't forget to hit the subscribe bar, the like button, and the notification bell. These help me grow, and they allow you to be notified whenever I drop a new video. Okay, so let's just continue on this downward slope. Hello, so today I'm going to introduce you to a new subscription box. I am giving Crochet Society a try. Now, we really haven't gotten off to the best start as of yet. It's been a real, dare I say, pain in my butt. So basically, the drama goes something like this. Back in the early part of December, I ordered several boxes, as well as getting on their subscription list. Well, I don't know what happened. I don't know who dropped the ball, but they somehow lost my order in the mix. So by the time it became obvious to them weeks later that I'm still waiting for this order of these boxes, a couple of the boxes were no longer available, which was incredibly frustrating to me. Moreover, one of the boxes that was supposed to be paired up with the box, with your first subscription box, because basically they give you, as a gift for subscribing, they give you another box. So it's a box that is of the same value, and typically maybe the month before, or if they have extra boxes from previous months, they give you the option to pick one of those boxes to go with your brand new subscription. So I did that, but then they notified me like several weeks later, oh, sorry, there was a terrible mistake. We can't give you the box that's supposed to come as your free gift. But what we will do is we'll give you the very first box we ever created. Well, that was a problem for me because I ordered that first box, and the only reason I ordered that first box was because it was like $20. It was greatly reduced, greatly discounted. And these boxes aren't cheap. And then you throw in the shipping on top of it. So I expected a little better customer service. And then what really pissed me off was when I responded to the email telling me that I wasn't going to get the gift box that they said I would get, because, for whatever reason. They didn't really give me a reason. They just said it was a mistake. But I needed to explain to them, no, I already ordered this other box you want to give me for free. I ordered it. I paid for it. It's supposed to be on the way. So maybe you can just give me another box. Maybe you've got another box somewhere that is going to work for me, or rather at least take the place of, and I'll take whatever you got. Just send it my way, whatever. Well, I couldn't send the email. They had broken the link. So I don't know if they just didn't want to hear from the rash of people who they were going to now tell that they were going to give them a lesser valued box for their subscription, or if there were just too many people flooding the server. I'm not sure, but I did manage to find another way to contact them, another email address to contact their customer service. And I'm glad I did, because within a couple of hours, that link to that email was also broken. So that server was not accepting any through emails. You would just get one of those bounce backs, a daemon failure thing that they give you when there's a broken link to an email or a website or a whatever. So I at least got that. So it took them, oh my gosh, it took them like 3 days to finally get back to me and say, well, this is what we did. we're just going to refund you the money on the couple of boxes that you're not going to, that we no longer have. Oh, and by the way, sorry, your order got stuck in the computer. They literally told me my order got stuck in the computer, and I'm not really sure what that means, or or who dropped the ball, but I was a little frustrated and I was a little pissed. And then they told me that they were just going to refund me the money for that first box, and they were going to send me that first box as my gift. So I'm not getting a box that is of a similar value to what anyone else might be getting, going forward, because I've seen, there are other, they still have the deal. You order your subscription, and then you get typically like last month's box to go with it, right? They have those available. So that's all good, and that's good for people going forward. But for those of us who got caught up in this debacle, we're not being given any kind of a choice. They're just giving us whatever leftover they happen to have, and it's the first box. So it's not exactly a box anyone's, pounding down doors for. So, and of course, they didn't tell me that there was any kind of an issue at all until several weeks after I'd already ordered the boxes. So the whole thing's a mess. I am not happy with this company. I don't feel like they care. I feel like they're just kind of half-assing everything. And it's too bad, because I have such high hopes for this box. So what was weird was they sent me this month's box, right? And this would have been like the last box I should have gotten in my mind, and I'm still waiting for the other boxes. And at this point, I'm not even sure which of the boxes I'm getting. I have an idea of what I'm supposed to be getting, 2 or 3 of them, and I already know in my mind, or at least I think I remember in my mind, it's been so long, which ones I'm supposed to be getting. But guess what? I haven't gotten them yet. A quick update for you. A couple of days after I finished filming this video, I did finally receive my past boxes. Now, it turns out I was supposed to receive a total of 5 past boxes, but because of the issues that they had on their end, I was only going to be able to receive 3 past boxes. So the boxes I've received are box 40, box 45, and then of course the free gift box, which they gave me, was box 1. Now, if that all wasn't enough, we're going to continue into more box sagas and drama and just epic fails, and then ponder the idea of why I just didn't quit while I was ahead. This is my newest, latest Crochet Society box. It's their 48th box. It's running really late this time around, so I should have seen this box. Oh my God, like 4 weeks ago, I should have seen this box. They sent me a notification that said it was on its way, and it never came, and it never came. And a few weeks after that notification, they sent me a new notification telling me it was on its way. So that one seemed to be the actual legitimate notification that actually told me my box was really and honestly on its way. Okay, so after all this waiting, it's finally here. But I digress. Let's go back to box 47. This is what box 47 looked like when I received it. It was soaked, sopping wet. In fact, when I pulled it out of the package, it literally dripped water, and I kid you effing not. So basically, I had to lay out all the yarn and all the items and give them a good couple of days to dry out. And if all of this were not enough, let's just keep looking into the bad and the ugly of these boxes that I received. I'm already having a bit of an issue with this because there's a kind of a slight mildewy smell to the yarn that I'm not liking. I don't know if it's the yarn or if it's... Hold on, let me check something out here. Or if it's this other bag. See, they gave me this bag, and in the bag... Oh, yeah, no, it's whatever in the bag. And this is the plastic, the PLU pieces for the purse if I choose to make the purse. So the bag is really gross smelling, and the plastic or the faux leather or whatever it is that's in it has a very strong kind of mildewy and kind of a chemically smell to it. So that's not making me happy. I just have to set these aside and let them air out to see if if they'll get better. Now, the one thing I did have to do was the book, right? The instruction book. I was not able to hold on to that because that was just even 2-3 days later, that was still so strong with the mildewy smell. So I can only imagine, because it was laying on that bag that I think was the big culprit of all of this, laying on that bag, that it really absorbed and was strongly affected by the mildew itself. Now, of course, it wasn't all bad. I did get to see a variety of yarn, not as much as I would have liked to, and quite frankly, most of it I really wasn't quite that impressed with, but I've thrown some highlights, some good and some not so good examples of my thoughts on the matter right here. So these are the yarns that we are supposed to get, and I got just those yarns. So let's go ahead and explore. So this is a DK weight, 60% cotton, 40% acrylic. Now, I was really happy with the cotton yarn that they gave me. So we'll see if this yarn works up just as well as that last yarn. This yarn, we'll see how this works out. So now, how did I feel about working with this yarn? I didn't like it. For me personally, tactilely speaking, it was kind of grabby. I felt like I was going, like I was developing calluses because it was so rough, and it was just, it has the structure you want, but the drag on my hook was almost obnoxious for me. I didn't like it. I couldn't get a smooth rhythm going. It's 100% cotton. It feels very nice, and we all know how I feel about cotton. So if I find a cotton that I actually seem to like initially by feel, I'm pretty interested. This is your standard mid-range, typical craft store yarn. Now, I've done other videos, review videos with this yarn, where I didn't particularly like the yarn for the use of it, or for the project that it was given me to do with. I think there could have been a much better yarn, but for this particular project, this yarn was really perfect for it. I don't have any complaints with that regards. And so what they've given us is this gray, and then this, I wouldn't exactly call it mint, but it's like a very soft blue with just the littlest bit of a mint undertone. Now, this yarn is a 52% Falkland wool and 48% nylon blend. So that's pretty. The wool is soft, but it still feels like it has structure. So I would say that it's in the medium range of soft, or just maybe a little bit better, but it's certainly appropriate for baby skin. That's for sure. As long as your baby doesn't have any wool allergies, this will work beautifully with it. Now, I've never used this yarn. The couple of times I have used yarn from King Cole, I liked it. I was happy with it, so I wasn't upset or anything. I want to just show you the top of the box so you can get a feel for the yarn that's in the box and show it to you. Okay, so this is the yarn. I guess we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 13 different colorways, giving us 8 skeins of yarn, and each skein of yarn is 100% acrylic. It's their confection DK. This seems to be a yarn that they've been issuing a lot lately. Now, they are really good about giving you a hook in each box. I know a lot of newbies out there really appreciate that, and if I were a total beginner, I would too. So let's just continue to watch to see how, at this stage of the game, what I thought in terms of the hooks that they provided us. This hook. So it's their signature polymer handle hook. And I'm just really not, it very much is polymer. You can see, the fingerprints of whoever put the polymer around the hook. You know, it's kind of cute in that it matches the box, but other than that, don't get very excited about the quality because it really doesn't exist with this handle. It just looks, you know, it's just kind of cute, or at least the intention is cute, right? Next, one of their usual hooks. This is going to be a 4mm again. Seem to use a lot of 4mm in these boxes, but this one matches the aesthetics of the box, which is typical of the hooks that they give. One they give me is a 4mm and also a 3mm size hook. This is one of their polymer handled hooks. This one is a 3.5mm hook. Again, these aren't my favorite. People like them. Next, the 4mm crochet hook that they have included in this month's pouch. So we have the hook again, their polymer clay hook. And then I think this particular hook right here is pretty similar to the hook from the previous. So I wouldn't exactly call this the most quality hook in the world. And again, it's their signature polymer clay handle hook. They give me a 3mm hook in a print to match the box. And okay, I mean, it is what it is. You can totally see the seam coming up along the edge where the clay was folded over to make the handle for the hook. I mean, it's unique, but the quality of it isn't getting me very excited. Also, they give me another little hook. And this is a little 0.75mm hook or some maybe micro work. The hook. So this hook this time around is, as expected, the polymer clay. It's a 3.75mm. And it has your standard Crochet Society stamp across it. Now, it appears to me that they possibly either rolled it in glitter. I don't know if you can see that glitter there in the video. Or they've sprayed the glitter onto the handle. And we all know that I'm not a big fan of their hooks. I know some people collect them and love them. I am not in that camp. This hook, I can feel the glitter on it. So it feels to me very much like a worn down piece of sandpaper. And then one of their hooks, a 4mm, and another hook. This hook is going to be a 3.5. And look, another hook. Oh, but this one's a 6mm. Okay, that's good. That's a little different than what I've gotten in the past. Oh, and look, another hook. Okay. So this one is a 5mm. Now, there was a highlight in these boxes for me every term. I was always kind of excited to see what I would get. And so I've compiled just a few clips of those reactions for you. A badge, a Crochet Society badge. And these are usually pretty cute. I think if you're a badge collector, you're going to like that. I think they actually do a good job with the pin badges they put in their boxes. It's one of the few highlights of their boxes that I have discovered. Typical to receive stitch markers in these boxes, and this one is a little granny square. So the stitch marker, again, is their lobster claw with a little notebook charm. Here's the stitch markers. Again, they have the lobster claw hanger deal. And, you know, and they're nice. They're cute, super cute. I'm totally down with this particular little give me in this kit this time around. And it's a cute stitch marker. Our stitch marker in the box this time around is what appears to be a yarn ball. Then we've gotten a pin, one of their badges, making magic happen. Now, next are the silicone stitch markers. They're really cute. This pumpkin charm. That's all right. The stitch marker this time around is a box of popcorn. And that's cool. I'm happy with that. This is a trolley token. A Merry Stitchmas badge. Next thing I see is this stitch marker, a little ghost with a witch's hat. Now that's one thing I have to say for Crochet Society is I like this. Next, let's take a look at patterns and projects over the year. I'm going to quickly run over what I liked, what I didn't like. And then you'll also see examples of some of these worked up. Next, which I thought was nice. It was just kind of like a little surprise gift, which is really kind of fun to get in a box. And I'm not hating on this at all. It is a project book of adorable animals. Basically, they're telling you that we get 52 mix and match pieces to make. So, and then they give us different examples of the different types of animals or amigurumis we can make with the information they give us in the book. Because again, I thought that this was a nice little supplemental book gift that they gave. So you can see the different animals. They're not stingy on the amount of animals and possibilities you can make. This is the bag. And it really was a nice pattern. The yarn that they gave us to use for this project was really quite appropriate for the project. The yarn is soft. It was really easy to work with. The glide on my hook was really nice. I didn't experience any splitting or any hang-ups, so all of that was really good. It worked out just fine. Now the pattern for the bag was really good too. It was simple, it was straightforward, it was easy to do. So the project is for this horse right here, this rocking horse. And this rocking horse is supposed to fit into this plastic bauble as a tree ornament. So as you can see, my horse doesn't really look like the picture, does it? Hey, so this is what my horse is supposed to look like. And this is what my horse actually looks like. So the misprint I spoke about earlier, right, was, I think we can see the legs. So it clearly required us to crochet entirely too many rows or rounds for the legs. And so this may have just been me, but I checked and double checked and checked again on the pattern in terms of crocheting the back. And you can see the back of my horse is very slopey and not like what we see in the image at all. And I guess I could have stuffed it maybe a little less, and I could have shaped it with some yarn, you know, to better kind of shape the piece. But I still don't think it was going to give me this nice shape that I was hoping to. Yeah, all I can do is laugh. I can't even be mad or annoyed because the whole thing is just so silly looking. Trigger warning for those of you who might get a little, you know, feel a little sensitive about my critique. Okay. But, you know, yet another mistake, another misstep. And of course, clearly, this is not going to fit into my bauble. But more so, even if I had gone and made the legs the appropriate length, right? Did the 4 or 5 rounds that we've got here in the picture on the horse, putting it closer to like where my finger is at on the leg, this horse was still never going to fit into the bauble. One mistake, I can easily let that slide. 2 mistakes, I start getting kind of, I don't know. But then there are these certain moves that are like clearly blatant. All I know is that I'm still trying to decide if this is a giraffe with a short neck or a horse with long legs. Now, the instructions were very clear. They were very straightforward. They were easy to follow. I didn't make any changes to the pattern except for one, and that was the scarf. So the scarf was basically, in English terminology, or rather U.S. terminology, not English, we all speak English, but in U.S. terminology, the scarf was made using half double crochets. And I wanted my scarf to have a little more texture, and there was plenty of the mango colorway yarn. So I used the star stitch and made the scarf using the star stitch. And then I also added these fringes just to give it a little more interest, give it a little more texture. And that's what I chose to do with my little elephant doll. A reminder of what that image of what these fingerless gloves are supposed to look like. And what I got was a great approximation. The pattern was well written. It was easy to follow. It didn't take me long to whip these up, maybe a couple of hours. It really turned out to be a very nice kind of evening or weekend project. I thought the yarn that was chosen for this project was super appropriate. It worked out great. These are something that I'm going to use. I'm going to be happy to use. They're comfortable. They do what they're supposed to do. They look good. The design was good. Yeah, I'm completely happy with this. I did not see anything in this book that I thought I might even like to engage in right now. And so unless I saw there was something that I felt had any real value to me making, or anything that I could use or even gift, I would have strongly considered it and probably done it. But because none of the patterns in the book this time around blew my hair back or were even a little bit appropriate for another use or purpose for me, I simply decided to just save my yarn. I'm going to put my yarn away and use it on a different project. With this yarn, or this pattern, and I checked, and my count was correct. So there's only a couple other reasons why this could have happened. And what I'm talking about is I ran out of the cherished strawberry colorway yarn right here. So you can see I needed to use some of the cream colored yarn from their value pack of the King Cole, the value yarn that was given to us for other projects. So the only reason I can think that this happened was, one, maybe my tension was off because my count wasn't off. My count was good. Or they simply just didn't give me quite enough yarn to complete the project for the pattern they provided. And so, yeah, you take that for what that is and how you will. That's just the reality of the situation. As far as the kit is concerned, yeah, do I think it was pricey for what we got? Certainly. I mean, the stitch markers were cute. The badge was cute. Those were all right. And I will certainly find uses for those for sure. The yarn I'm happy to put in my stash because I use a lot of DK weight yarn anyways. So I'm certainly going to find something to use this variety of colors with. Would I say the box was worth the price? Not so much. You know, by the time I paid for the special edition box and then the shipping because I'm here in the US, yeah, it was pretty pricey for, you know, for what came in the box. Now, if I were a total beginner and this was my introduction to crochet and subscription boxes and all of that, I think I would have probably been pretty happy with it. But as an intermediate or even advanced crocheter, you're probably not, and I know I'm not that impressed. So I've been... Okay, so basically this is all the yarn that we received. We received 25 33 gram mini skeins, if you will. And so basically they did give us a sneak preview of the blanket to make. But really, in all honesty, while I'm always excited to make a new Afghan or blanket, I basically have a total of 825 grams of yarn. That really isn't even enough to make a baby size blanket. So I'm guessing this blanket is more sampler size. Personally, I'm not that interested. And so it's not going to be until the first patterns start coming out on the 1st. Now there are supposed to be some other patterns that are going to be made available to us that we can maybe pick and choose from. In terms of what we could still use this yarn with if we choose not to go with the blanket. I don't believe I'm going with the blanket, and I don't know what other options I have, so I'm gonna just put this yarn. Now, if you've hung out with me through all of this for this long, I really do want to thank you, and I want to commend you for your patience, and I hope you're being somewhat entertained. At this point, I'm going to go right into the advent calendar. We're going to do a quick little review of the main video that I did with a little compilation of the video itself thrown together in a couple of minutes of overview, if you will. And then once all of that is completed, we're going to roll right into my thoughts and feelings and revealing of the project that was actually provided. Now, you're going to hear me talk about in the video how I wasn't really thrilled with the Advent Calendar project. And I was under the impression that they were going to send patterns of alternative pieces or projects to do in lieu of the main Advent project that they had offered. I was under the impression that that's been done in the past. So I expected that to be done this time around, and it was not. So I did go ahead and I went through and made the Advent project, and I will discuss that at the end. So if you can hang on just a little while longer, I'll just basically consider you a hero for just sticking it out this long with me. Thank you again. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, right back here, right there is my box. I have pulled it out of the large shipping box that it came in, but I haven't exactly opened it yet. I have already noticed one problem with it. Some of you might think I'm being picky, but this isn't a cheap box. And with shipping and everything else, we here in the US are really looking at somewhere between $50 and $60 for one of these boxes. So yeah, do I expect more from these people? I do. And I've already started on a tangent because of this one little issue. So let me bring this box over. This is the box. Now, can anyone tell me what it is they see? What it is that might make them a little irritable too? Yeah. Right there. It is some kind of grease and dirt smudge. You know, and then of course the box is a little beat up, which really bothers me a bit. It's just, I'm just being nitpicky now, but you can see kind of in that corner where things are a little smushed. And I may get hate on that, but oh well. You know, I could actually have looked past the smashed corner if I didn't have smudges and dirt and grease on my ribbon. And get closer, and I realize this is a paper box, but I don't know that I've seen seams like this in boxes that I've had before. I don't know that that's really a big deal, considering, you know, I just plan on using the box for storage. But there again, I'm just kind of I'm trying to be generous, guys. I really am. And I can be, I realize I can be a little OCD, and that's okay, but you know, damn it, for this price point, I really expect a cleaner presentation. Okay guys, we're here for box 6, and the reason why I'm showing you box 6 is because I cannot get my box 6 out. It is jammed in there. It is stuck. I don't know what the deal is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip 6, and then I'm going to move on to 7.
I'm going to finish everything and then we'll go back to...
Okay, so just for those of you who don't believe my struggle is truly real with this company. Okay, oh, there we go. All right, what do we have here? I just don't understand what the hell was wrong. But thankfully nothing tore. All right, so we have a slate blue. And then what do I have? Oh, see, that's what it was. Look at that. It's totally glued in there. But as you can see with the blanket image I showed you, it's kind of a sampler. So I think if you treat it as a sampler, it's going to be fine. So let me go ahead and break this down for you. So we have the yarn, 25 skeins of 33 grams. This comes to 825 grams. Now, if I purchased this yarn off their website, I would pay approximately $4 per 100 gram skein. So basically, the yarn comes in at a $33 value. We're talking retail now. And so that's it. That's what all came in the box. We already discussed the yarn and then all the little goodies that they gave with each day that it came with. Now, I paid $90 for my box and an additional $31 for shipping. So I paid a total of $121 for this box. According to their site, they tell me that my box is going to have a value or hold a value of 160 pounds. That's $202 in American dollars. I don't know. $33 worth of yarn plus what's here. Does that give you $202 vibes? Those of you in the UK, does this look like something that you would expect for 160 pounds? Do I sound cynical? Yes. Give me just a moment and I'll do some math. Okay, so if I were to have bought everything by itself, separately retail value, I would have spent a total of $101.45. That basically is, oh, I don't know, $10 over the original value of the box that I paid for. Now, the box, I spent $90 for it on sale. Its regular price, I believe, was $114. Don't quote me, I'd have to take another look. So if I had paid regular price, I still would have overpaid. I bought it on sale. If I included shipping, I overpaid. If I don't include shipping, yeah, if I bought everything, which I would not have, but I would have saved myself $10. Now, that brings us to the value that I'm actually lacking. According to this, I should have a value of $202 or 160 pounds in this box. I think I'm about $101 light on that over-exaggerated estimation. I mean, that's unless they're telling me that the packaging and the patterns that well, one pattern I've already seen, and the other patterns I won't know until they give them to me next month. But I digress. So that means that, are they telling me that the packaging, the box, and the patterns are worth $101? I don't know. I'm really confused. And I'm definitely not happy. Okay, so I'm back and I'm here to discuss the Advent project, the blanket. So first off, yeah, I'll reiterate, I thought there was going to be more projects to do other than the blanket, but there weren't more projects to do. It was just the blanket. There were no alternatives. So, okay, whatever. And so I decided, fine, I'm gonna do it, even though I really don't want to, because the blanket just really wasn't my cup of tea, aesthetically speaking. really wasn't excited about it. So that's fine, whatever. I'll do it. But then I got to using the yarn, and it's their confection acrylic yarn, and I've talked about it a little bit in another video where I thought it was going to be okay. I hadn't really worked with it yet, but on initial feel, it seemed all right. Your basic economy acrylic yarn, not a huge deal, not a huge problem. Maybe for a quick project or something, that was much more affordable to use, but an okay yarn. I didn't expect to love it, but I really didn't expect to hate it. And I hated it. I hated it so much that I didn't want any yarn left over. So when I finished the actual project itself and had a whole bunch of, probably another 60 grams of yarn left over, from the other skeins provided, I just simply decided that I was going to make a different border than what they had suggested or what was part of the pattern, just so that I could use up that yarn and I would not have to deal with it in my stash any longer. I mean, of course, I have more of it in my stash from previous boxes, but I don't want any more than I already had. So I used up every last bit of yarn that I had. And then I even broke into one of the skeins that I already had in my stash in order to complete the scalloped edging of this border. So why did I dislike the yarn? First of all, it felt really gross. I did not like it. It was like almost not as bad as nails on a chalkboard to me, but it was right up there. It just feels wrong, sliding through my fingers and my hands, and I didn't like it. Also, it split. It split really bad. So I couldn't move through it at my usual speed because it just split so easily, and that drove me crazy because you get a little split and it make your work look terrible. Also, it was very static clingy. So you could feel the static electricity running through it as you were working with it. And the actual little threads would start floating and trying to attach themselves to everything. It was just obnoxious. And it wasn't just one skein, it was all the skeins. So clearly it's the material that they make this acrylic yarn out of. And I find that completely obnoxious, and it drives me crazy when I'm trying to work with it. And it makes trying to wind it into a cake almost impossible. Well, not impossible, but just obnoxious at moments when you're trying to wind, but your yarn is, kind of pulling electrically, being charged and pulled in different directions and coming off the loop. And most of you probably won't understand what I'm talking about unless you do wind your own yarn and you run into yarn that is very electrically static charged. I don't know the exact word for it, but I think you catch my meaning. So no, I wasn't impressed. Also, I just frankly didn't like the design. Now, the size of it, when I first saw the image of the design, I assumed it wasn't quite as big as a baby blanket, and it really isn't. It's really more like a baby Afghan size, right? And it is actually larger than a lap Afghan, but I think it's fine for a toddler size, or if you're just looking for a sampler that you can lay over your couch. Now, this particular design wasn't what blew my hair back, and that's just personal preference. But what I can say is, and this has been a regular theme through a lot of their patterns anyways. Some patterns were fine, some patterns worked out just great, and other patterns were just not so good at all. I mean, I don't know if they didn't have somebody testing them. I don't know. It just came off as sloppy and inattentive. And that's a real problem for me, especially when you are doing patterns or pushing your pieces out to beginners, people who are just learning how to crochet. Because what that is going to do, especially if your patterns are wrong and they're wrong and you make no effort to fix them or to even double check them, drives me crazy. Now, is that the case here or not? I don't know, but there's lots of room for assumptions because this has happened pretty regularly. It's really hit and miss. Some patterns are fine and other patterns are like leaves you scratching your head wondering what the hell went wrong. And now I get mistakes happen, but not like this. This is too frequently for me to think it's just a innocent mistake. It happens enough that it leads me to believe at the very least there is a serious lack of attention being paid or a serious concern over the quality of the patterns being presented in these boxes. And so what I came across with this piece was that the pattern, in my opinion, wasn't very well written. In fact, some of the stitches I was fine with. I just get in there and I knew exactly what they were talking about, and I was able to get in and do them. And other stitches, even though I was familiar with the stitch they were using, the instructions left me scratching my head. So I was forced to actually watch the video. And really, for me, I try not to have to watch the videos. I make it a point to try to figure out the pattern and to improve my own pattern reading ability by figuring out the cadence and the writing style of the designer and then following through with that. And then after so long, I compare it to an image of what it's supposed to look like. Well, they didn't even give you an image of what this piece would look like. What you had was, the initial images of the spoiler alert, but in the actual pattern itself, you didn't get a little image or a photo, an image or a photo of the completed stitch. They just gave you this pattern that was sometimes okay and sometimes just left me scratching my head. And so I didn't have a picture to refer to. And I had to go and watch the video. And I know a lot of people learn via the video, and that's fine. But we won't talk about what I thought of the video. I'll just go along and I'll just say that it's just exasperated me. And I suppose it could have been me. I'm not ruling that out. I didn't have the patience to go back and recount everything all over again or start pulling out my work. But I swear the counts were off. They were off enough that if you didn't pay attention, the edging of your blanket was going to be, wonky, some parts a little longer, other parts a little in. So you had this weird kind of not a nice, clean, straight edge on the raw edges of your piece. And that I attribute to the fact that, it was a sampler, right? You had all these different stitches, but I just didn't feel like the counts were matched up very well from one stitch to another. And the instructions seemed off, and I'm not going to get into why they seemed off, but I have my thoughts and I'll just leave it with that. I found myself just having to do a lot of readjusting in order to get as straight an edge as possible. And yeah, I mean, that's just how I felt about it. That was, I wasn't impressed. And it was a piece I really didn't want to do to begin with. So having to go through and readjust edging because I couldn't make the count work in the way it was supposed to work with the stitches we were being given on some of these rows. And what that made me think of is the beginner, right? I'm a little bit experienced at crocheting. I mean, the last couple of years I've been doing a lot of it, and I've run into a lot of issues where I've had to, learn new things, and I've had to step back and slow down and restart my counts again, or where I've, had to learn how to adjust, right? Or learn how to read other types of designers' pattern writing, because nothing's very consistent, and I expect that. However, there are some you've done it enough. There are some, there are some standards that you see in just about every pattern. And so after a few minutes, you can kind of figure it out. But yeah, now I'm rambling. So let me try to get back on track. If I were a beginner and I didn't know anything about anything, and I was really hoping to succeed, really hoping to put out a nice piece. Yeah, I mean, if it didn't work out well, I would be really concerned and really discouraged that I had done something terribly wrong. And that's the problem here. That's the problem here for a beginner, is to think that you've done something terribly wrong when the pattern is just poorly written. And quite honestly, I don't have the patience or the time to go to a Facebook group for Crochet Society so that I can stay up on all these things, right? And I don't think your average beginner, unless they're really interested, has that time too. And you shouldn't be predicated, or it shouldn't be almost a requirement for you to step into one of these groups to reaffirm to yourself whether it was you or a problem with the pattern. So at the end of the day, I wasn't really impressed with this project for many of the reasons I had just laid out. And quite frankly, I'm glad it's finished. Spending 24 days working on this was, having to take out time to work on this did not leave me in a happy Christmassy mood. It just wasn't my thing. It wasn't my flavor. I had lots of other things I'd rather be doing, but I did this for this video. And am I crazy? Yes, I probably am. However, at the end of the day, this blanket did turn out okay. And it will go into my donation pile, because I know that there is going to be a kid, a child or an older kid who's going to actually like this blanket. They're going to love the colors. They're going to find that the blanket is just their size. So for all the things I didn't like about this blanket, that's okay. We'll donate it to a good cause, and it will be loved by someone. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this really pretty much is my last box from Crochet Society. It's just been a complete roller coaster with them. I don't find their customer service, at least at this past year, to be anything but atrocious. I am not happy about the quality of yarn. It seemed in the beginning they were kind of giving us a variety of yarn, but towards about halfway through, everything mostly seemed to slip into that confetti acrylic yarn stuff. And so that didn't make me happy. I mean, I liked the little stitch markers and stuff, but really I don't need stitch markers. They're cute. I like looking at them. It's like walking through a Disney store or a Hot Topic or and you're looking at things going, oh, that's cute and that's cute. And oh, I think that's cute. But if you were to buy them by themselves and on their own, would you really? I probably would not. So that doesn't really create a great value for me at the end of the day. I mean, if I'm being grown up and honest about things, right? And then the patterns. I didn't expect the patterns to be too much more than beginner patterns, and maybe a few intermediate patterns thrown into the mix. I get it. It's a crochet box. It's designed for newbie people and people who are just learning, and I'm totally down with that. And I was fine with that. But so many of the patterns had issues, real issues, that only led me to think that if I were a beginner and just starting out on this, I would be so discouraged because I would think I was doing something totally wrong and never even know or realize you know, it was a problem with the pattern. You know, I don't know. Or running out of yarn. I think there were 2 boxes with 2 patterns I ran out of yarn with. You know, that's not okay. And that would be very, very frustrating to me as a beginner if I didn't know what to do or how to handle that problem, right? I mean, maybe it's a learning curve, but should it have to be at this price point? I don't think so. So no, you know, while there were good things about this company and the box, and I still see great potential in what they've got going on here, I can't recommend this box. I can't recommend it to anybody, and I can't even recommend, you know, buying yourself an advent calendar from them, whether it's the Halloween advent calendar or the Christmas advent calendar from them. I mean, if you go into it eyes wide open and you're a total beginner, this could, you know, this could be a fun deal for you, I think, you know, because you don't know anything, you know, you don't know much in terms of your yarn quality and the value, and, you know, you're still learning which of the crochet tools you need or don't need. And so to get kind of a plethora of them, it's kind of a fun thing. So, you know, I'm not going to knock that, but you know, then they claim that the value is over 200 US dollars, over 160 pounds. No, not even close. I don't know which gauge, even putting your branding on it. And, you know, and that's, I think, what makes the box kind of cute is the branding, but the branding only goes so far. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't want to pay for your branding. I want to get quality patterns with, you know, for me personally, a quality yarn, or at least a moderate yarn. Not the cheapest stuff you can find. All right, that's my rant. That's all I got to say. Thanks for hanging in there with me. You've been great sports. All right, now check us out next year. I've got, you know, kind of a new lineup happening. I am switching things up a touch with the channel in a way that I hope actually provides a little more education, a little more how to do in terms of interesting and relevant stitch patterns, definitely more kit reviews. So I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you and have a wonderful new year. Bye-bye now.